I say we start off by talking about the fact that Snoop Dogg apologized to Gayle King.
He did.
He did apologize.
What did you think about the apology?
Okay, so at first, remember on the show last week when we talked about his comments and he said what he said about her, I cringed a little bit because I'm like, older black women.
You did.
It was just kind of like,
And my position was there are exceptions to every rule.
Yes.
Right, because if
that was just my initial reaction when I heard it. I was like,
which is warranted. But when you look at in context,
facts, I get it.
What Kobe means to Snoop, that's like his little brother.
Right.
Right? And if my little brother passed away in a tragic accident and you're pressing somebody about something he was not found guilty of, no charges brought against him, and the way Gayle was pressing, like after she gave her answer,
I said that too.
She said, like, but that would.
I think she was a little pompous in her delivery of the.
That's my point. So in an emotional state, Snoop said some things.
Right. Yeah, and I didn't fault him for it. That was just me, like, damn, right. But then I actually respected the way he wasn't letting up on it. He just kept pounding away, like, yo, I respected that.
Right.
So then the apology took me back because it forced me to think, like, who made you apologize? He said his mother had something to do with it. That could be believable. People's mothers have a way of getting the best out of people.
My point reference to that is when Jay-Z did the Super Ugly song and mentioned throwing condoms in the baby seat.
Right.
And he had to come up to Hot 97 the very next day and said, my mom's told me that was too far. I need to apologize. And he did.
Right.
So I'm not sure if Snoop has decided that that's the safest way to tuck your balls back in and still hold your a position per se, or was he instructed that you better get out here and apologize because it was clear that lines were drawn?
Yes, so it was. If you are on in the social media streets, if you see what was happening, it was between what we deem or what we call like the elite, the black elite,
the haves and the have-nots.
Basically, but some of those are haves to us. You get what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
So it was a divide between up there.
Right. But the line was drawn between the boule.
For sure.
And those of us who recognize who the boule is, and we ain't rocking with that.
For sure. They turned Gayle into a Gayle. Like they flipped the narrative, made her a victim. They made it into a black man, black woman thing, like they always do.
And then they made it into she was doing her journalistic duty. Well, her journalistic duty should have taught her that he was not convicted of any freaking crime. So your journalistic duty should have put the facts in front of you, and this is no longer needed to be pursued because you had 17 years while he was here, Gayle.
Facts.
To ask him himself.
And somebody said in the chat, Gayle should apologize to Kobe's family for that.
Absolutely, for that line of questioning, the timing of that line of questioning, and what you were insinuating when you did that.
Yes, and I think the point still stands with Snoop was saying about Gayle and Oprah anyway. I think the point definitely.
The point is made. He won. He lost the war, but won the battle, or vice versa. Something. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is
I think he lost the battle.
Okay, he lost the battle, but did he win the war?
Definitely. I think because the questions are still there. We still feel how we feel about Gayle.
And once we start having mainstream people like 50, like Snoop, who are border on us, we rock with them, and Snoop, who I don't rock with because the most horrific scene I've ever seen is him bring two black women out on stage at the MTV Awards in doggy leashes. I will never forget it, right? It is the most demeaning thing I think I've ever seen visually. However, right? So I'm not really rocking with Snoop for a number of reasons. He might have been involved with the Tupac situation, allegedly. It's a lot of different things. So when Susan Rice says
that was interesting.
Yeah. The army. What the fuck army she talking about? I know she didn't mean the U.S. Army. She was talking about the army of Boule. Their team, who knows so much dirt on Snoop that this could get really funky.
Yeah, you was talking about how ratchet this Black History Month has been.
Oh, this Black History Month is brought to you by Hennessy. This shit is ratchet. We done went from Kobe to Gayle to now we're gonna get into D-Wade. This shit is definitely brought to you by Hennessy.
Yeah, it's been getting wild.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So he had to back down.
Yes.
And he had to clean it up.
Somebody tweeted, and I agree with this point. Somebody tweeted that Snoop would have said what he said to Gayle to like a black Republican woman. It wouldn't have been the same vitriol that he was getting online.
Absolutely,
because of how we just selective in our outrage and what we
right. And then if you wanted to know where certain people stood, just watch Twitter.
Yeah,
Steve Harvey, out of all people, this nigga, right? And people just started coming out your man Lamont Hill or whatever.
Yeah, Malcolm Hill. Yeah,
what the fuck is his issue?
Yeah, he's turned into like a full simp. Yo, I used to really like him.
Yeah. And all of these people lined up about her journalistic integrity. There's no integrity behind that statement unless you're trying to inception people into reliving something that this man has already overcome.
Yeah, what you got to do in a lot of these situations when you're talking to or you're watching interviews with some of these quote unquote intellectuals is when they're trying to talk around the point, like, I didn't agree with Snoop was saying, but the next question is, did you agree with what Gayle asked?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because they always talk around
they
that.
They dance around that
in a really good way.
In a really good, clever way to say that Snoop was out of pocket for calling a black woman out her name. Yes, we're all in agreement with that. Malcolm, like you said, you eloquently stated that when it happened.
Yeah.
But I'm an old school, and I'm of the mindset, sometimes you buy an ass whipping. Like if an old person pushed me in the supermarket, and I said, look, old man, like, calm down. And he pushed me again. Hey, old man. And when he pushed me the third time, I might have to, to knock the old nigga out. I mean, you bought that. So there are exceptions to every rule. If my brother died in a crash or my child, and you decided to use that to ask me some weird shit about when I was smoking dust on a goddamn rooftop to build a pigeon coop, I might get offended by that shit.
As you should.
As I should.
The Swooviest, thank you for the donation.
Thank you. When you commit treason among your own, the gloves are off. You don't get to portray your own people, then play victim. Okay, I have to agree with that. How can I not?
I want to talk about one thing, right?
Let's talk.
I want to talk about one thing. So I've been seeing a lot of, because we're gonna go into the D-Wade thing next.
Yes.
I've been seeing a lot of these trigger phrases, stay on code, things like that, right? And I think I want to dispel the myth that black people have to agree on everything.
Right.
That black people even have to all unite. White people don't all agree on everything.
Right.
White people don't all unite on everything. We have two political parties that go at it every year for proof.
In full-fledged.
The only reason why it seems worse on our part because we are the people who are systematically oppressed
and affected by it.
Okay, so if we were the ones that were
Big Elvis, thank you.
Thank you for the donation. If black people were the ones who were the dominant society, we were able to, I guess, shield our fights because we control the media, we control the narrative.
Right.
Then white people will be talking about stay on code. We all
absolutely.
Nobody. It's a myth. Black unity. If everybody, it wouldn't be. It's no such thing.
It's overrated. And when people say shit like, "When we all unite,"
honestly, if
I go, all right, true, get the fuck out.
I even take it further. I feel if you are following somebody and they say their goal is to get all black people to unite, I'm looking at them side eye. I think they're a fraud somehow.
And that means you either very delusional or you selling people some shit that you cannot deliver.
That is it.
And then when we talk about own code, who the fuck is writing the code? Because the code seems to change
whenever whoever see fit.
Whoever see fit. Yeah. Interesting points.
I'm just saying.
Facts.